out the Izzy button. All right, here are the most common things that I've done over the last 2 weeks. And you'll notice that there's a common theme. You might have seen some of these. Most common problems. Wireless won't work on the laptop. This is epic. It's the button in the front. Lots of times it's just in the off position. It could happen because kids are doing it to be a nuisance in the lab. It could happen because it's jostling around in your notebook. You could have accidentally bumped it. I mean, see how easy it is. It's not like a hard toggle switch or anything. You would think that red would be on. Red's actually off. I think that's on all of them by default. And the way you'll know it's on is if it's off, it'll have an X down in the bottom where it looks like you don't even have a network connection, because you don't. So, on-off switch, turn it on. User locked out of network. When do you think this usually happens? What time of the month?
When the password.
Password change time. Once again, big epidemic. And especially after like a Christmas break. Probably 20 people were locked out of their computers when they came back. Because they go in to webmail and it says, hey, your password's about to expire. Why don't you change it now? Don't ever change it with webmail. Webmail is clunky. I don't think it ever seems to work. Here's how I change my password. I'm logged into a computer perfectly fine, and I decide today's the day I'm going to change my password on all 20 of my devices. Phones, tablets, everything. Emails. Control, Alt, Delete. Just like I'm going to start. Control, Alt, Delete. I'm going to plug. Control, Alt, Delete. What? Isn't that not? What I would normally do is Control, Alt, Delete. And it will bring up a screen, and one of the options there is...
sticking keys
yes.
on computer.
Do not ever take it and whap it like this. That is not actually the way to fix it. Ah! Control, Alt, Delete. Change the password. Hope you got that on tape.
I did.
Simply go in here, changing the password, just like you would normally do. Now, most of the times, it's not because your password didn't get changed, it's because you didn't change it in all your multi-devices. If you've got your email set up on your phone, iPad, some other device, it's going to go and try to check it every 5 minutes. Now, that's probably going to lock you out right there. So, when you suddenly get that message, I'm locked out of my computer, you go next door and say, hey, can you email Bill that I'm locked out of my computer? I'm not going to be able to get to it within 15 minutes. Your password automatically resets in 15 minutes, but it's going to keep getting locked out if that other device is there. So when you get this message, that's your chance to go and check all your devices. Then if it doesn't unlock, then let me know. 15 minutes after, it'll automatically reset. Okay? Desktop icon's missing. This usually happens on the student login. You'll come up and instead of that big massive screen of clutter, you'll just see computer and the login. That probably means that either temporarily it lost a network connection, and the way you'll know that usually is down here. If you see an X here, that means it's just not even plugged in. See that?
Yeah, whenever we're using the lab, I always have a kid who has nothing on there.
Laptop or computer? Regular.
Computer, regular.
Regular. Usually, if you look in the back of the computer, you'll see where the blue cord goes in, and you can even do this on a laptop. The rapidly blinking lights. That means it has a connection. If you see nothing, just follow that blue cord and see where it goes. Probably it's plugged into either a dead port or it's lost its connection. If you see the lights and you still don't see it, F5 is the magic key. Excellent. I love this keyboard. Now our computer's hung up. Technology. Now, here's what I would suggest. At the beginning of each school year or anytime you change, go around with your laptop and check each of the ports in your thing. Just take a blue cord, go plug it in here. If you see rapid lights, that means that port's active. Take a Sharpie and draw a little line above it. If you take it to another one and there's nothing there, that means that port's not active. Plugging anything in there is going to be nothing. And just find out where all your active ports are. Let's say you've got computers set up in one area of the room and you want them in a different area. Just simply moving them over there is no guarantee it's going to be working. You have to tell me what port it was, what port it is, and then I can switch them over to the other one. Okay? So, to refresh the screen, normally, you hit F5 and it just will refresh all your icons. You get this spinning thing, just go away, don't tell me. Monitor not displaying screen. This is a new phenomenon, and I don't know if kids have decided this is cool to just take that and unplug it. But suddenly people will say, our monitor's not working, it just says test screen. And we've restarted the computer and nothing happens. It's usually just this plug is not plugged in securely. And it could be that when it was set up, they didn't screw those in, and it's worked its way out. These even go up and down, so it would work its way loose anyway. But I'm guessing the kids are just kind of messing with it. They like to see teachers pulling their hair out. They like me coming to their classrooms, that's what it is. Pin on the Promethean board. Can't really demonstrate this without a pin, and her software still hasn't finished up installing. If you go to your pin and it's not responding with your board, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with your board, and it doesn't even mean there's something wrong with your pin. What it usually means is your board's not connected to the computer. All that pin is an intermediary device like a mouse. There is a USB cable that has to plug into your computer. It's different from the keyboard and the mouse in color. It's kind of a grayish color usually. Sometimes it's a light cream color. And when you plug it in, you hear that DG. When that sound, usually that means it'll come up. And the way you can check that is down here, usually in the system tray. If it's working, you kind of see the Active Inspire icon. If it's not working, you see a big red X. If you see that red X, you got a problem. Unplug your board from your computer. If it doesn't come back on, try restarting your board. If it doesn't do that, check with Daphne Hamrick and see what we did to fix hers, because hers is doing that now. But sometimes it means reinstalling some software, but usually it doesn't just do that on its own. It either works or it doesn't work. All right. iPads won't go to some sites, YouTube, some things like that. It probably means that you've logged into your iPad the wrong way. Because when it asks for your username and password, a lot of you might just put Crane E. You have to put FCBOE / which is numbers, shift, S, and then your name. The reason for that is when you're just logging in with your name, that's just like a student's login. They have very, very limited sites that they're able to go to. Facebook is enabled, YouTube is enabled, or unenabled is not able. But when you put FCBOE, it goes and checks and sees that, oh, this person has certain rights. They can get to this. They need to be able to get to Twitter. They need to be able to do these things, Pinterest or whatever. So make sure that you've logged in with that FCBOE / in there. You don't have to do that, I don't think, on the mail, but on the wireless you do. Adding printers. Now this used to be a little hard. Now it's near impossible. So when you discover your laptop doesn't have a printer anymore, or the printer that used to work in the curriculum server down at the end of the hall is no longer there, they've taken the server away and decommissioned it, now you can't print anywhere. The easiest thing to do is ask me, say, hey, I need access to the printer in so-and-so. I just send you a link just like we did in that email. Click on it. I would save that email someplace. Don't throw that one away. It'll be good for a year. And that way, your grade level, you have access to all of it. Just simply clicking on it usually will install it. If you go down and you try to install it the old way, you might be able to figure out how to do it, but it's really, really clunky. See, I just installed that one for Lacey, and I guess it's working. If you tried, you go up, add a printer, you'd think it is local, but it's not. Network, and you would think, well, here's all the network printers. For the whole county, that's not very many. This works great if you want to send it to the tag department at Park Lane Middle School, or Hapeville Elementary School, but that's not going to help you much. And we used to be able to tell you, oh, it's just, crick-cur and all that. It's not that anymore. It's a little bit more complicated. And I'd rather you just email me. The student computers have access to one printer. So if I log in as a student, it will just give me the printer probably in 179. And that's all assigned through Active Directory. And so that they don't add any printers. If they suddenly decide, I want to print these over to another printer, I have to remove the one and put them in a new one. So they only have access to one as a student login. But as a teacher login, you can you can do as many as we give you access to. Okay? So that's the deal with printing. Sometimes the beauty of having them all down at Westlake is it's easy to redistribute them like that. The bad thing is when one schools go down, they all go down, and that happened this week. All right, there are no login services available. This is what we're seeing on the laptop lab a lot. There's no simple solution. It usually means a 4-hour re-image of that computer. When it's working well, 4 hours is how long it takes me to re-image a computer. The best thing to do is there's a blue cord over by the window. You just take it over there, temporarily plug it in, let them log in as that student, cross your fingers, hit enter, and see if it'll work, and keep them going. If not, I have to either go in there manually and take them off the network, add them to the network, and there's no way I can do that to 25 computers in a 45-minute session. And they all have to be re-imaged because when they came, the image was wrong, and they didn't discover that until halfway through the year when they stopped working. But it's too difficult to do during the school year. So when you get that, just plug it in and see if that will get it going again. The last thing is wireless issues. Yes, we have them. And supposedly the county is in the process of redoing all the wireless network things in every school. Now, our county is not good at implementing any major programs on time. We were told it would be done by April, by spring break. Now we're being told hopefully by the end of the year. I'm sure that's going to turn in by the time teachers come back, but at some point we are going to have faster network access wirelessly. Most of our problems are actually because the pipe from here to Westlake High School is just not big enough. What we're asking it to do is too small a pipe. It's not enough bandwidth. And we, for some reason, moved all of our curriculum servers and our printers and all of that down there before we dug a bigger ditch. And I think that's really, really short-sighted. So we're only as good as the weakest link in our chain, and right now that's our weakest link. Okay? Now, are there any questions? Something you've had in your classroom that's unique to these problems or different?
I have a question about the Z drive. Like I used to save everything on the Z drive at Oaknoll. Can I do that here too? Just to back up my computer? Or what do you think the best way is to back it up in case things go wrong?
I think the best way of backing it up is through Dropbox. I have a 3-2-1 backup solution. Get this, 3-2-1. 3 different copies of every file. 2 different types of medium. Means one could be on a thumb drive or one's on a hard drive. One could be on a network drive somewhere. And one needs to be off-site. Like, and this is especially for your home stuff. I mean, hey, school stuff, nothing's that important. You know what? We're going to lose an IP. We got copies of copies. But your wedding pictures, pictures of Molly when she was 1, first birthday, you'd be just devastated if you lost those. A lot of people will back up their files and they'll put it right next to their computer. Well, who's the guy that did The Godfather? I can't think of the guy that wrote that. He had all of his stuff backed up. Somebody broke into his house and stole his computer. Well, the backup's right next to it. Guess what they stole too? All the hard drives and stuff that were backed up. So even though he had taken the time to back it up, if the house burns down, you got bigger problems than missing first birthday party pictures there. But those kind of things, your backup has to be at least one of them off-site. Dropbox is 2 gigs for free. Get all your family members to join an account. You get another half gig for every other person. I'm up to 20 gigs. You know, I've got friends that have over 50. Do all your wireless devices, your phone, your iPad, have them all back up their pictures to there, because every time you add a device, they give you more room, and then just use it. Now, what that will do is, it might slow your computer down. So you do need to go in there and tell it which things to back up. Maybe you don't want Molly's first grade birthday pictures backing up to your laptop, but you want them on Dropbox. Well, tell it not to back up your camera downloads or uploads. Tell it not to do personal. Tell it not to do tax items. And that way you can have just a school folder that's just those things that are backing up to your computer. So that's what I would recommend. The Z drive is fine, especially if you need access to those things, but if you look at the size of that Z drive, it's getting big again. We used to be under 100 gigabytes. They bumped us up to 200 because they realized that we had over 1,000 students here. But we're up to about 165, I think.
Right.
See what it is right now. But 3-2-1 backup, I think that's the best advice I could give anybody. Yeah, we're at 135 of 200. And a lot of that will be cleaned out. I think Matt Rogers might have a folder on there with about 40 gigs on there. Erica Murphy probably has one with about 60 gigs on there. And they just have to be cleaned up at some point. And that was after the summer. So, any other questions? Okay, small group means we get